Hi there, Alfonso. So you've got another set of essays for us. Great. Let's take a look. The first one is interesting. 3 pie charts. So let's see what you said about them. Okay, the pie charts show the total incomes in 5 different industries of Ben's Land, Tim's Land, and Jim's Land in 2014 by the IMF. Alright, my one concern here is that it's not really by the IMF. I think it's according to the IMF. Okay? Let's see. In Ben's Land, agriculture was the industry with... Alright, I'm just going to go through it, correcting the grammar along the way, okay? So, in Ben's Land, agriculture was the industry with the highest income at $45,000. Whereas natural resources represented the lowest, get rid of ever, at just $3,000. The services industry at $20,000 was closely followed by heavy industry and light industry at $15,000 and $10,000 respectively. Let's see, did you cover them all? You did, but there's one little problem. Do you see this? It's USD millions. So, somewhere, at least once, you had to mention that all figures refer to US dollars in millions, okay? Even if you just said it once, that would be okay, but you do have to mention it. Otherwise, the examiner will think that your data is inaccurate. You really don't want that to happen, okay? So, you referred to the IMF, but you didn't say that these figures were actually referring to US dollars in millions. All right? Keep that in mind. So, regarding Tim's Land, get rid of with. Heavy industry reached 75,000, almost 2 times the services and light industry, comma, both at 40,000. So, do you mean 40,000 each? Yeah, you do. Okay. So, both at 40,000. Well, all right. Well, agriculture income was at 15,000. Natural resources, get rid of ones, represented a little less than a quarter of it at 4,000. Okay. I like you taking some risks here. It's a pretty good job, the way you're doing it, so fine. Jim's Land, services income. Here you needed an apostrophe, so it should have been apostrophe S, and it should have just been income without the S. So, Jim's Land's, I can't say that, Jim's Land's services income reached the highest ever at 90,000. All right, let's talk about why that's wrong. When you say that it reached the highest ever, it's as if you've got like some change over time. And so it might have started off low and then it increased and it reached its highest ever, okay? So that's when we use something like that. But here you don't have anything that makes this expression appropriate. So what you could have said is that it was the highest figure in all the 3 pie charts. So that would have been more appropriate if you had somehow said this, that this income from services was the highest proportion, certainly for Jim's Land, but for all the counties in question, or countries, actually it's not counties, sorry, for all the countries in question. So, but saying that it reached the highest ever is inaccurate because it implies, reach the highest level implies that there's some change over time, and we definitely don't have that here. Okay, so light industry at 70,000, again, doubled, does the exact same thing. It implies that there's some sort of change happening, but you don't have that. What you need here instead is words that show comparison, but not necessarily change. There's a difference, okay? So, light industry at 70,000 was twice as high as agriculture income at 35,000. Heavy industry got 15,000, whereas natural resources had the lowest income, not total of income, in Jim's land at 7,000. I hope you understand what I'm trying to tell you here with this vocabulary. This happens a lot with a lot of test takers. You know, everyone is so diligent about learning this IELTS vocabulary, like doubled and was threefold and increased threefold and all this stuff. But that kind of language is only relevant when you show change over time. Okay, it's what we call like a dynamic chart, and this is a static chart, so that kind of language is really not relevant here. Okay, all right, so overall, services industry, light industry, and heavy industry. Let's see, the services industry, light industry, and heavy industry represented the highest incomes on average, whereas natural resources got the lowest in 3 countries. Okay, that's fine. Okay, you certainly pinpointed all the major pieces of information. Any real problem that you had was with some of the vocabulary and, of course, with the accuracy of your figures. You never, ever, anywhere mentioned that this was US dollars and millions, and that's important. So an examiner is going to tell you that this is inaccurate data. Okay? That's what I want you to be careful about. All right, so the vocabulary was a little problematic, and some of the accuracy of your data. So keep that in mind when you're doing these charts. Let's take a look at your next essay. Do you think it's better for students to work before the university study? Why? Okay, so experts from both the developed and developing world have debated whether having ing, a job before going to university, can benefit students or not. Personally, I agree with working before college. Careful with your spelling. You just wrote collage, which is a different word. Make sure it's clear that it's college, which is with an E. This essay will argue how having ing, personal experience before starting university, is better than not having any job, using examples from the UK government and Oxford University. Okay, fine. There is ample evidence of how people acquire and improve new skills that will not be used, wait a minute, that will not be used only in those jobs, but in their whole lives. The reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, students will learn how to socialize in an adult environment that will help them to mature and get ready to interact and work in projects with any mate or group they meet at college. Secondly, while working, students will go throughout, they never went through. I don't know what that means. What does that mean, they will go throughout, they never went through? They will develop new skills such as team building, determination, or problem solving. Okay, for example, empirical research led by the UK government stated that students with at least 6 months of professional experience before university succeeded, ED, 27% more than students who had no experience. Therefore, it is clear how a new situation for students can benefit them, M, by developing useful skills they will need to succeed in their student period. Okay, that one little area was a little confusing for me, but it's okay, I got through it. So let's take a look at the next paragraph, okay? Regarding money, so you can see we have to get rid of two of these words here. So regarding money, the economic freedom that having a job provides cannot be overstated. This is largely because students often live with their parents before going to university so that they have no expenses. This can represent a good opportunity to save some money and make a budget for future, you don't mean inconvenience, I think you mean future expenses? Maybe that's what you mean here. That might come, as well as any activity taking advantage of the student period. I don't understand what that means. This part confused me. You shouldn't have hit return here. You should have just stayed, so it looks like it's the same paragraph, because now that's a little confusing. You hit enter and then you started on a new line, but you probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, so, for example, an extensive study led by Oxford University showed that students who had worked and had a budget before going to college, on average, attended to 7 courses more. What does that mean? I think you mean they attended 7 courses more during the student life than those, you're missing a word here, who had not worked. I don't understand this. So that should be a comma, lowercase b, being 26% happier at the end of the programs without the A. Okay, fine. Thus, it is clear how beneficial it can be to take advantage of these opportunities to save some money for the future. Alright, so I gotta be honest with you. Your example wasn't really clear for me. So you said in the beginning that having money gives economic freedom, and so it allows them to take advantage of their time as a student. So that I understood. But then this thing here said that students took 7 more courses, and as a result they were 26% happier. So how is that related to working before university? So you have this connection, but you haven't really made the connection clear to the reader. Okay, and that's something you absolutely have to do. You can't just assume that your reader understands where these two things are linked. So you have to provide that connection and do that work for the examiner. Explain why you think these are connected. All right. From the arguments and examples given, I believe that having a job before going to college can help students to be ready for not only the economically, but also mentally tough moments students can go through at universities. It is predicted that when students become aware of the benefits of working before starting their higher education, they will take part in the labor market sooner. All right, that was nice. Okay, so I really liked your conclusion. That was nice, it was clear, but there were a couple of areas throughout your essay that were a little confusing, that I didn't really understand what you were trying to say, and so you needed to provide a little more clarity, all right? Because it's very possible that an examiner would look at it and say, okay, this is incoherent, I don't understand how these ideas are linked, and that, of course, will be reflected in your task achievement score. All right, go ahead and correct these for us, and let's see what you write for the next time. Good luck.